a fourth day has awakened. Despite the fact that I didn't really see much yesterday. Not despite. In regards to the fact that I did not see very much yesterday, I am back out today, even though this was my rest day before work, but it won't be a very long day, and I'm not very far from home. I am at a park in town that I have come to on several occasions and have always seen birds. And as a matter of fact, I can see out on the lake that's right next to me, there are birds already out there. There's waterfowl. Can't tell what they are. It is very dark, but the sun will be rising shortly. I'm 45 minutes before the sunrise, so I can start getting set up. We are doing something different today, which is going to be taking this. Oops, if I can get it all pulled out here, which you can't really see. Anyway, it's the pocket cinema camera, the first one I bought. I'll be using this with this lens and a tripod, and I'll be much more mobile and moving around, as a matter of fact, because the second thing that is rather important, it is very windy today, which is not what I was hoping for, but whereas on Friday we experienced 20-mile-an-hour winds, today we have 17-mile-an-hour winds. So we will finally definitively be able to answer the questions that scientists have been asking for generations. Is there a noticeable difference between 20 and 17-mile-an-hour winds when you are out walking around? It'll get better as the day goes on. If I'm out here for a couple hours, then it'll drop down to like 10-mile-an-hour winds from what I was looking at the forecast, theoretically. So I got that on there. I put that. Oh, I'm gonna have headphones, even though it's going to be very windy. I just put the sock on. I still have headphones that I'm going to put on. I'm going to remember the cord this time. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. I'm a little curious. This technically kind of throws back to the first videos I ever made over a year and a half ago at this point, at a forest, a wetlands forest, inside of a park. I don't actually remember what it was classified as, if it was state or it was free. There was paying for camping, there was paying for horseback riding or riding your horse through the trails. It was free to people on foot and maybe biking, hiking, those few things. Anyway, the point is, it was a forest. It was a good chunk of forest that I wandered around in several times. I kept going multiple times over the course of a few years while I lived there. And there was an area that was wetlands that was protected, and they had like a little shed on the water so you could watch birds. Problem was that it was more for children to watch birds, so the windows were very low, and I hurt my back a good bit trying to take shots out of them, especially when I was sitting on the bench. They had like windows on three sides looking out over the wetlands, and there was a bench, and I would sit on the bench and go and then take pictures. Anyway, after that I shortly moved into, I wanted to take video, and so that's when I bought this camera first, so I could kind of dip my toes into it, because it was on the cheaper end while still being a dedicated video camera specifically. And I thought, well, I could do that. I can't do the really big lens because there's no way to really balance. It's so heavy and things like that. It was just going to become a nightmare. And also I was going all out with putting a rig on it so that I could have like the focus control and things like that. It wound up becoming a lot, but that's how I started. And those were the videos that I took. I was also very upset with the quality that I was getting out of it. I didn't have a computer that could edit it. The lens wasn't ideal. I tried using a 70-200 first and went, well, even if I zoom in, this looks like crap. Like you can't see anything. It's just so far away. So then I wound up buying this lens. This is a 100-400, which in theory is better in different ways. I mean, it's double. The difference is that the iris on the inside has to be really small when it's fully zoomed out, which means that you gain a lot of depth of field, so you don't get quite as good clarity, and it also pushes a lot. What I did not have, and this will be interesting to try, I never put an extender on this. I think, I'm trying to remember, a year and a half ago, for footage that I unfortunately no longer have because I had a hard drive failure. I believe I bought the 100 to 400. I tried the 7200 and went, I just can't get what I want here. I'm trying to get little kingfishers. I'm trying to get things across the water. It's just not working. I need the 100 to 400. I may have put an extender on it that was 1.6, not the 2, because I did not own the 2 at the time. I know that this was a more recent purchase than the rest of this. I put the 2 on it so that I could get a smaller f-stop, which is actually a wider iris. The whole thing is technical, but basically the footage looks better. What I've been doing for the past year when I've been using the big 300mm lens with a 2x extender on it has looked better. So I'm curious about this. That one is not as good for walking around for this kind of thing, and I don't think I would be able to balance it very well. It concerns me. This is not nearly as heavy. The reason being, I will one day make a cohesive thought from start to finish without having to jump and throwing things out randomly and then going back and explain. This lens is not nearly as heavy as the big one. The big one is, I don't know, 3-4 times as heavy. And so all of that weight, when it's put on there, you typically have a handle so that it balances here, which would be center of mass for just the lens, and then a camera body that doesn't weigh that much. Now, the big body that I have weighs a lot, so you can't really do that. What it does is it puts all the pressure where it connects here on this connector there, and I've definitely seen the horror stories of like, oh, I put too much weight, and it just rips, and it destroys the camera. Point being, when I use the really big lens, I don't want to destroy anything, so you get lens supports, which are rods that attach over here, extend out, and then you put a lens support on there. This should be fine because it's not that heavy to the point where I don't need to do that. I'm not going to try to put it here. I do have a tripod mount so that I can test it just to see, but my plan is to actually mount it back here at the camera. This should be heavy. This should not be heavy enough, especially when I take this off, which is what I'm about to do, to the point where it doesn't add any extra weight, just to make sure. We'll see. This is pluses and minuses. This is very much a test just to see how it works. I've never done this before. I bought the big camera because I wanted the big quality and the benefits that go along with it. The downside is that it's big, and it definitely has a toll on what you can do with that. I don't think this ring actually comes off. I think you just loosen it. Put this in the bag. Anyway, it's starting to get light. The sun is starting to rise. Here, look. So I'm going to get out and I am going to walk around. I'm going to see what I can see and see if I can get any video. It will be interesting. It will definitely be... This does have a stabilizer. So that is turned on. Technically, I'll be using manual focus the whole time. I got that there. Yeah, this will be interesting. Kind of a throwback to where I started as far as using this camera and the lens and using it for this purpose. Ever since then, I've kind of dedicated this to being like, I'll put it on the gimbal with wide angles and, you know, things of that nature. I haven't specifically tried using this as the main wildlife camera. But if it works and I'm happy with this, I could start bringing it along so I can get 2 different angles looking out 2 different sides of the blind if I'm happy enough with this quality. The difference, again, I said something about speaking cohesively in one side. This has, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it goes, okay, here it is. I knew it would be on here. 5.6. An f-stop of 5.6. That is at its largest, smallest setting. When it is fully zoomed out, it will be at 5.6. My entire setup before the 300mm is 2.8. The lower number is better in most cases, depending on what you're doing. It allows me, especially one of the big things, the wider open it gets, the more light that gets in, the less light I need around to be able to see. Anyway, point being, this means I'm going to need a lot of sunlight today, which partly cloudy. It's kind of why I'm waiting as well. I'm not going to get anything at this time being. What I will do is just walk out, and hopefully by the time I walk for 20 minutes, the sun will be up enough to the point where I can do things. Well, now that's interesting. A light just came on a building over there, but I thought that building was for the fire department. Maybe that guy with his dog was going there, and that's why he parked here, I guess. I would think you could get it to... Anyway. The difference between this and the other one, the 300mm has an f-stop of 2.8. That means it can open very wide. It's one of the widest that you can get without going crazy expensive, which means that I can use it in a lot of low light settings. It has a very small depth of field, so you would be able to get like a nice clear image of the focus, the subject with the background all blurred. When I put a 2x extender on it, that doubles it, so it goes to 5.6. Now, This one goes to 5.6 when it's extended naturally. Now I'm going to double it and it'll be more than 10. I don't actually know which one because it doubles. It would be 11.2, but I don't think it goes to that. I think that counts as 12. I don't know. I'll find out. I haven't done this. We'll see. That means I'm going to have a lot of things in focus because it'll be a very much larger depth of field, and I'm going to need a lot of light, which means that the image will most likely need to be boosted, the sensitivity of the sensor to get ISO up, which adds grain, which is not what I'm a fan of. Personally, I do everything to avoid that. That's why I like shooting in lower ISO, things. I think that is a brief overview of everything that I'm doing today. I think that explains most everything. We'll see how it goes. This is totally an experiment. It'll just be a couple hours, but I'm happy to get out again, especially since yesterday was kind of a bust. And we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna get out and start walking. I probably won't do much of this because I'll have all of this other stuff going on, and I want to try to focus and give this its full attention. Oh, I need a cleaning cloth to wipe down my lens here. Another feature of the big one. It's got built-in ND filters, whereas this one I have to attach one to it. Anyway, maybe I'll do some more videoing while I'm out there on this. We'll see. Here I was thinking that the wind was going to decrease. It did not. I've tried something different. I've switched out to the other tripod. I'm still having the same problem, which is that it's unbalanced. Like I was talking about how this lens is lighter, which puts all the weight at the back of the camera. I might be able to tweak it a bit. I might not necessarily need like the shotgun mic and some things like that. Or I can add more. I can change where the position is to stabilize. Anyway, I'm actually pretty pleased with everything that's happened. I'm definitely seeing plenty of birds. No doubt about that. Cold, windy. Oh, hi. The camera's not actually turned on right now. I didn't see you there. You caught me out in the wild. I'm back at the car. I'm done. It has been a good while. I don't quite know the time. I think it's been at least 3 hours. It's not going to show me. There it is. Oh, 4 hours. Okay. Whew. It's a long day. I didn't expect it, but it's good. Real good. Yeah. Take all that off. I saw much more birds than yesterday. And although I had quite a number of troubles with this camera setup, it did good overall. I was pretty happy with it. I think there's some things I can tweak. I want to see about putting... I kind of want the gimbal on the tripod, which in a way defeats the purpose, but that would help a lot with some of the problems that I was having with it. It was so very out of balance still. It was still very front heavy, despite the fact that I thought the lens would be a lot lighter. It's really not with the two times extender, the whole thing. It just, every time I would lock it and it would go, and that's no good. And I tried to record a video. It's been very windy. Another one, when I swapped out the tripods, thinking that might help because the other one this is a cheap tripod for what it is, a cheap video tripod. The other one is a stable, nice, expensive photography tripod, so it's really not made to handle that. But even still, it was out of balance. Out of balance either way, that's not going to really help with the tripod. That's why the nice big tripod that I have has like stabilizers onto it. You set the levels of degrees and it actually like can smoothly move, which is what you want when you're doing video. But for this kind of a setup, it was almost like a little extra photography. It was like the still photography when I'm walking around and I'm looking for things, and that's still what I did. I had a lot of mobility in being able to change my position easily, which I can't really do when I'm in the blind with the big camera. But you don't really get full. It's still useful, right? I'm still debating, I'm still deciding. Is my mic on? Yes. Oh, but it is windy. Let's talk more in the car. Great day out. Really glad I decided to do 4 days this week. I didn't mean to go quite this long. I still have to prep my meals for the week, and I got to pick up groceries here in a little bit, and then enjoy the rest of my time playing video games or something. Relaxing. I will start editing next weekend. I won't even touch it, and I won't have time during the week. My days are fairly packed from the time I get up, getting ready, working 10 hours. Immediately after work, I exercise, shower, get ready, I get a little bit, I play video games for maybe about 45 minutes. That's the best that I could do. And if I don't play video games, then I switch it up for something else. I try to be productive during those days, and then it's dinner, watch an episode of something, bed. Just get up the next day, start all over again. Those 40 hours are pretty well jam-packed at that point. Good day out. I hope some of that stuff came out. I'm pretty sure it did. I saw plenty of northern flickers, which is awesome. They're a favorite of mine since I moved out here to a place where they actually are. I could see them right now. They just went right over my car. There's a group of about 4 or 5 of them. So I saw those, plenty of waterfowl on the water, gulls. For maybe a second, I spotted a songbird, but couldn't tell what it was. Definitely have some issues to try to problem solve with this camera, but overall, not bad. I'm sure the audio was not good, very busy. Monday, there's construction happening. There's roads nearby, so it's busy, that's for sure. So there'll be a lot of human interference as far as that goes. But just coming out, getting the nature, and trying something different with the lighter setup, not bad. Pretty happy with the results of that. I think I can work that in so that I do different things depending on the days and depending on what it is. The big camera is far less mobile, but just produces better results. I'm just happier with it. It's got a lot more function, a lot more control over things. This one's not bad. I did have some trouble with the auto iris all the time. It kept changing, which is not what I want. I want it to stay on my settings that I've got it for, and then I change it if like the sun goes behind a cloud or comes out from behind a cloud, or now I'm looking at something very bright like the water surface, and then I move to something else. Then I want to change all my settings to try to keep everything in the right exposure. It was doing things on its own, which I know you can't really, and get full functionality, use this lens with this extender. They put that, there's a compatibility chart, and they're not compatible. It pushes it too far to be able to autofocus. Well, it also pushes it too far to be able to function properly, unless there is a button, and I gotta try it to see if maybe that was the problem. If the button, if I kept pressing it with that, which could be solved. Like I was talking about, I have no idea if it came out because it was so very windy. With the tripod, because it's so heavy, I think I can do things. I like having that handle. I really do have the handle on top so I can carry it when I need to, but I could probably lose that. The mic, I might be able to swap for a smaller shotgun mic to still be able to capture audio while doing that, or give up on the audio and just do video when I'm doing this and save the audio for something else. It's definitely possible, and I've done it before, where I record the audio separately. That's kind of how I do the main thing with everything. But yeah, this is great, and it actually totally is viable. I need to fix the tripod problem. If I can get that, which is kind of why I bought a better tripod in the first place, I need to find something that's as light and compact, as really nice. I'm really liking this Peak Design tripod for the still photography. I've been using it for everything that I can, and it folds up to very tight, but it's it's sturdy. It's lightweight, but it's sturdy. And I didn't even get, this is the aluminum one. They have a carbon fiber one that's even more expensive, but I couldn't afford that. I bet that would be even more sturdy as far as that. I need that design, that lightweight functionality with the combination of a really nice video stability, which is not what that was designed for. So I'm not trying to ding it on not being able to serve my needs here in this purpose because I'm putting it into use for something that's not. What I need to do is look up, see if I can find a fairly lightweight, sturdy video tripod, or one that I can put a different head on. That would be useful. That would be very useful. Or again, attaching the gimbal to that one might help too, because then that takes then the tripod is set and the tripod just needs to be sturdy in a base and doesn't need to do anything. And then the gimbal up top is how I can move everything around or turn the actual gimbal on. I might see if I could do that, just hook up that gimbal to that. Either way, this tells me very much that for not that much, I'm already bringing most of this stuff with me. I bring this camera when I go for the big, like the big day when I go out and I sit in a blind, I already bring this camera. I just don't bring this particular lens. I've left it at home because I didn't ever consider it after having trouble with it before. But that's totally viable. And what that means is I can actually, like I was set up yesterday in the blind, looking out one way, and then I just had little corners open of all the other little zip windows. And I was just looking out going, is there anything there? Is there anything there? Keeping an eye in any direction. And if I see something, I pick up the camera and I move it to look out that one instead. I could just have this camera with me set up secondary out another window, peeking out of the blind and just video off of that. Yeah, that's totally viable. I need more hard drives for this because this takes a particular type of hard drive. So I've already been thinking about getting that because of what I'm doing professionally what I'm doing for like the gig work of recording videos. I only have one hard drive. And if I fill that up while I'm out on a shoot or whatever, like I have a performance coming up for the band that I have been making videos of for Body School, they have a whole performance. And if that's 2 hours and I have 2 hours worth of this, I have no backup. And if I fill it, we're in trouble. So I've been thinking about buying another hard drive to have as a backup for that. I've got 3 hard drives for the other one. Just cheaper to get those than try to buy those really expensive fast memory cards. Anyway, I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Monday. I am going to not worry about unloading or doing any of the footage stuff. I might. I feel nervous when I don't get it backed up right away because it's risky. I've had hard drives fail before, and it's just a matter of time. They're not meant to be forever. God, I need to figure out a better solution for storage space. Anyway, that's a problem for another day. This was a good time. This was a good break. We'll see. I'll be able to hopefully get in a little bit here and there between over the next month. And then my next break will be between Christmas and New Year's. I've requested off work from that. And I'll be able to get some more wildlife in then as well. If I don't, it depends on what I do over the next few weeks and the weather. The wind did not decrease. The wind did not drop down to 10 miles an hour over the couple hours. If anything, it stayed what it was if it didn't get worse. It was very windy. Hey, take what you can get. I'm happy.